Everything is right now about Demaryius Thomas. It's finally done. It's happened a few minutes ago, and we have the tweet, I think, right here. I don't know if we're ready for it, but John Elway tweeting that thrilled to reach a long-term deal with Demaryius. He is one of the NFL's top wide receivers and will continue to be a big part of the Broncos' success. 2 exclamation points, not just one.
Now he says it.
Now he says it. If you're John Elway, do you think you've made a good deal or a bad deal?
Well, you know, they always say if both sides are a little bit unhappy about the deal, it's probably a good deal. I'm thinking that this was very hard for John Elway to swallow. He is a wide receiver, Demaryius Thomas, and Woody and I always talk about the most important positions on the field, and we rarely mention wide receiver. But in today's NFL, it is
with
important.
The quarterback being more important in the league overall.
And here's the other thing. You have to keep that quarterback happy. This will keep that quarterback happy.
You know, as Mark Kissel pointed out in his column today, Julian Edelman is making $17 million over 5 full years of a contract. This is much different.
I think he's thrilled. I do, because I'm going to tell you 2 reasons. One, in today's market, that's Dez Bryant got the same thing. That's what they were all talking about. The Broncos don't have a history of not being favorable to players.
They get deals done.
And that's been the history. And I'm talking about before Pat Bowlen, before John Elway. I'm going back to the Phipps brothers. I'm going back to even Edgar Kaiser Jr. That they've always, I don't remember point. The only really contentious situation was Lyle Alzado, and they traded him away. And situation.
I got one more for Bobby Humphrey.
Yeah, but
they got rid of him.
Humphrey was a one-year wonder. Yeah. He was a one-hit wonder. He was like.
But you're right. Very few times in their history have they had a guy hold out for an extended amount of time.
So I think he's really happy that he's continued a tradition of the Broncos of taking care of their players that are good character play. Demaryius Thomas is a good character player, but. Number 2, now they can concentrate. This won't be the lead story every day throughout training camp. Is he going to show up? I mean, we saw a slight example of that in the OTAs. So they can get on with what they're doing. The new coach, new staff, everybody's on the same page, no pun intended, that they can move forward now. So I think he is actually thrilled.
And what do you take away from the Broncos? And I don't know if I wasn't listening to Troy because I was just in the studio, but the Broncos raised their offer 4 times over the 13 months that they had negotiations. So clearly they were, as you said, Woody, interested in doing this. But a 4-time increase over 13 months, I mean, I guess that's just the way things play out.
Well, Troy said, and I repeat, he said, you know, they've drawn a line in the sand. If you're drawing it in the sand at the Alamo, that's one thing. But if you're drawing it in the line on the beach, the tide comes in and the line disappears. I've been involved.
It's part of negotiations.
We've been involved in negotiations. I've had ESPN and other places I've worked where they go, this is what we're offering, and you go, okay, you take risk, and then they change the offer, and I change my offer. And
well, here's the other thing: the Broncos might have raised their numbers 4 times, but Demaryius' side probably brought their numbers down 4 times to meet him.
Johnson money.
Clearly, it's not Calvin Johnson money. Right. Now, what do you make of the difference in the guarantee here between $45 million fully guaranteed for Dez Bryant, $43.5 million fully guaranteed? Probably appropriate. I don't know if Demaryius is maybe as good as Dez Bryant, but what do you think?
Well, Troy said he thought that there were advantages for both players, but again, I would have, if I were Demaryius Thomas, I'd go, I haven't caused one character issue. Not in college, not in the pros. Dez Bryant is followed by character flaws since there were, as Troy said, red flags in college. I would have held out for a little bit more. I would have said, I want $500,000 more than he got. Yeah. That happened with Arizona cornerback and Seattle cornerback.
Rich people's problems. You know what? We're quibbling over whether Demaryius should get $45 million guaranteed or $43.5 million. I don't care. He's got a lot of money.